Good evening, everybody. Tom, this is the right mic?
Yes.
This mic, not that one, right?
No, you're right.
Just leave these ones on here. Welcome, everybody, to a very special evening here tonight. A night where we're building bridges. In a world so intensely divided, it gives us such a great pleasure to be able to reach across the aisle and to make friends with people that we might never have met before. Loay Al-Shareef is a prominent Arab peace activist and social media influencer who has emerged as a powerful voice for Arab-Israeli reconciliation. Growing up in Saudi Arabia, and later experiencing a transformative personal journey which we're hoping to learn about here tonight, Loay has become a respected advocate for courageous understanding and regional peace. Through his unique perspective and first-hand experience, Loay will discuss the prospects for Arab-Israeli peace in the aftermath of October 7th. His message of hope and reconciliation has resonated with audiences across the United States college campuses and throughout the Middle East. Friends, it gives me tremendous pleasure to welcome my first Saudi Arabian friend, Loay Al-Shareef, to the stage at Chabad Public Gardens. Nice to meet you. Nice to have her. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Hello, welcome, welcome. Come, take a seat, please. Wow, Loay.
Loay, now you said it right.
Oh, before not?
No, before you butchered it. Yeah.
What does Loay mean?
So the Americans always butcher my name. And I always tell them, you know what, you just call me Louis. Yeah, Louis is fine, but Loay, yeah, but Loay.
I can relate, I'm South African.
Okay.
I'm originally South African, so I'm actually African American.
Okay.
But my name is Dovid, so people always think it's a spelling mistake. It's like David with a spelling mistake. It's actually Dovid. But go ahead about Loay.
Yeah, but Loay is a very, it's the name of the 8th grandfather of the Prophet, and it means a person who struggles with life, indeed.
Wow. A person who struggles with life?
Yes.
Do you know what the Hebrew counterpart for that is?
What?
Jacob.
Yeah, Yaakov.
Well, it's actually Israel. Yisrael. Because Yisrael means you have struggled with men and angels and you've prevailed. So that's really interesting.
But now I struggle with life a lot. So it's a name that has lots of meanings.
There's a lot to struggle for. Loay actually speaks 4 languages. Hebrew, English, French, and Syriac Aramaic.
Yes.
Did I pronounce that correctly?
Syriac Aramaic.
Syriac Aramaic.
Which is the language. It's different from the biblical Aramaic or the Aramaic that the Talmud is written with. It is the language of the early Christians who spoke Aramaic in Israel, because you know when the Jews were taken to Babylonia, Hebrew was almost lost.
You're talking about after the Romans, like this is like 19, 18, 1700 years ago.
Exactly. Lots of.
And that's why they wrote the Talmud in Aramaic, but a different kind of Aramaic.
Yes, that's different. So Syriac Aramaic is different from the.
For the Talmudic Aramaic, which is a Babylonian.
Yeah, it's a dialect that's derived from this one, but it's the main language of the Christian heritage or the Christian literature, the early Christian literature, and it helps a lot in understanding Semitic languages.
Amazing.
I love it.
I imagine that amongst your languages you also speak Arabic, I imagine.
Oh yeah, I mean, my native language.
That didn't make it in the list, so
wow.
It's actually 5 languages, right? At least 5.
But the native language is out, so.
It doesn't count, okay.
It doesn't count, no.
Now, Loay is actually a close friend, from what I understand, with the Chabad. We're the Chabad of Palm Beach Gardens, right? But he's a close friend with the Chabad of Abu Dhabi, where he lives, and many of us, unfortunately, all of us really, have heard about the tragedy of what happened in Abu Dhabi several months ago with the tragic execution of the rabbi. Can you tell us about your relationship with Rabbi Tzvi Kogan and the Chabad?
First of all, I want to say one thing. I did not have the opportunity to say thank you so much for welcoming me here in Palm Beach. And I insisted on coming on this traditional wardrobe for a reason. I wanted to say that this wardrobe or this kandura or this gown represents a culture. In my opinion, it represents the house of Ishmael. And I wanted to send a very powerful message that although many people who wear this have so different views from mine, but there are people who are your friends and allies from the house of Ishmael, and we are insisting on building this bridge and keeping the connection stronger. And you have friends in the region that believe in peace and that believe in the reconciliation between the house of Ishmael and the house of Isaac. So this is a very strong message.
That is sensational. Absolutely sensational in a world ripped apart, ripped asunder with so much hatred and judgment and prejudice. To be able to hear a message where a man can sit 2 feet away from me and we are brothers because you are a descendant of Ishmael, we are a descendant of Isaac, we share the same father.
Indeed.
We are both of Abrahamic descent, and here we stand 4,000 years later to say that we can sit here together arm in arm. I'm actually going to go visit Abraham on Wednesday. I'm going to Israel. I'm going straight from the airport to Hebron, exactly. From the airport, Ben Gurion, straight to Hebron, and we're going to say hi to Abraham. I'll send him regards.
You know, please do. It's so, how to say this, ironic that Ishmael and Isaac, during their adult life, they did not communicate. Until the moment Abraham died, Isaac wrote to Ishmael that our father passed away, so let's bury him. Abraham united his children, and 2,000 or 4,000 years later, the Abraham Accords united the descendants of Ishmael and Isaac, and we hope to make it stronger, inshallah, in the next coming years, inshallah. I'm very optimistic.
Inshallah, that's Arabic for God willing, right?
Yeah.
I want to just support
Be'ezrat
Hashem. I just want to support something you just said with one addition. That Isaac and Ishmael had a rough relationship, but at the end of their life, at the end of Abraham's life, they came together. But the Torah points out that when they buried him together, it says the name of Ishmael before the name of Isaac. Because Ishmael really did a full turnaround. He managed to overcome his own struggles, and he managed to become truly righteous, which is amazing. And God willing, we should be able to experience the same thing in our world today after so much struggle. To be able to build those bridges to create peace would be nothing short of amazing, incredible, but God willing, inshallah, achievable.
Inshallah, it's achievable, inshallah.
So tell us about the robe, the whole.
So, as you know, this is like the kandura. It's.
I wear that on Shabbos, by the way. I wear a black robe. It's a little different. It's like more of a Prince Alfred cut, but it's similar.
But usually it's white. But in wintertime we wear colored.
Oh.
In wintertime we wear colored. And this is called ghutra. And actually it's ghutra. Yeah. Ghutra. You know, in Hebrew there's a letter gha, but it was lost. You know, it's when you pronounce the towns Sodom and Ghamora, it was Ghamora, but it was then Amora, and it was then Gemora, because with the word Gemora,
it's guttural.
Yes,
guttural sound.
Yes, guttural sound. So it's called Ghutra. So you had the letter Gha in ancient Hebrew.
Because we're Ashkenazi Jews.
Yeah, you're Ashkenazi.
But the Sephardic Jews who lived in Muslim lands, they had that guttural pronunciation. And when you hear a Sephardic Jew speak Hebrew, it's got much more throat sounds than Ashkenazim are able to achieve. We're from European countries, from Christian lands, so we can't speak as clear as you do.
So Yemenis are the best when they speak Hebrew.
Yeah, absolutely. Yemenis
absolutely. And Iraqis.
Oh yeah, these are all the Sephardic Jews.
So this represents a culture, which is the desert, the culture of the nomads, the culture of the Middle East. And it's part of our heritage, and I'm so proud of it. And it sends a powerful message of reconciliation.
And what about the headgear?
This one the ghutra was actually made as something that cover your head to protect it from heat.
Oh, practical. Okay.
Exactly. But then with time it was just relaxed. So it's also part of our heritage, and it's something that we're proud of.
Well, as you know, we Jews are very into head covering as well.
Yeah.
It's about a reminder of our accountability to a higher power.
And modesty as well.
Exactly. And you know, the Muslims and the Jews both share a belief in one God, in monotheism.
Sure.
So Allah means above, the one above, and we say in Yiddish. How's your Yiddish? Okay, you speak Yiddish?
I know only one word.
Which word?
Hingrik? It's like hungry.
Yeah, hungry.
Yeah.
Hungry. That's a good one, well said, okay.
Yeah.
You know, they say that if you can't say something nice, you can say it in Yiddish.
And Mensch. People when they used to say, you are a Mensch, and I said, what does this word Mensch mean? And then I go,
A Mensch.
Mensch.
Mensch, yeah, Mensch is a very important word. But what was
Did
I
I
saying?
say it right? Mensch or
Mensch is perfect. You're a Mensch, absolutely.
I hope
I'm
so.
trying to remember what I was saying. Oh, in Yiddish we say the head covering was called a yarmulka, which is actually Aramaic. Yarmulka, like Yerei Malka, which means Malka.
Malka is like a queen.
The king.
King. Okay.
King. Malka, same word. But Yerei Malka means awe of the king, remembering respect of the king. But let's go straight into this. What a great introduction. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
I want to add one thing about the Rabbi, because you just talked about it before we delve into other points. So, I just want to say one thing. The killing of the Rabbi was very unfortunate. But still, I want to send a very important message to all of you. The UAE is still the safest country in the world. But even the safest country, you cannot prevent crime 100%. But the perpetrators were extradited in a very short time.
Very impressive.
They fled to Turkey, but they were extradited in a very short time. The UAE has taken great measures to prevent this from happening again. Very unfortunate, and I knew him personally. He was a great guy, an angel from the heavens, Rabbi Tzvi Kogan, and may his memory be a blessing. And the message that they wanted to say, or they wanted to convey, the perpetrators, to stop this from continuing. And I'm not really sorry to disappoint them, but we will continue doing this, and we will build and grow even more, inshallah.
We've got a lot to talk about, because what UAE is doing is amazing in building bridges and leading the Arab world in the Abrahamic Accords and in being able to establish bridges with Israel. It's very, very exciting. I know that you know my cousin, who's the other Chabad rabbi in Abu Dhabi, Rabbi Mendel.
Rabbi Mendel, a good friend as well.
And you were at the wedding.
Yeah,
Tell us about the wedding.
2002, it was a massive wedding, 2022.
A Chabad wedding in Abu Dhabi. And there were like all sorts of raruch, what is that? Rotra, yeah. All sorts of rotra and
kandura.
Kandura?
Yes.
So they were actually.
It was massive. It was massive. And
That's
it was
amazing. A Chabad wedding in Abu Dhabi.
But this is a sign of tolerance that we want to normalize. Because, by the way, the word normalize is an accusation in so many places in the Arab world. They call me a normalizer. So what do you mean a normalizer? You want to normalize relations between Arabs and Israelis. Yes, okay, so that's an accusation. Of course it's an accusation. But it's not a bad accusation, it's a good accusation. We want to normalize these kind of scenes, that Arabs and Israelis or Muslims and Jews are coming together. So if you were in the wedding, you see how many Emiratis and how many locals and how many people were celebrating with the Rabbi.
It's amazing. When I saw some pictures from the wedding, you see Chabad rabbis dancing with Arabs.
Yes.
Together at this beautiful wedding, so much love, and just emphasizing what we have in common and downplaying anything which divides us in the most beautiful, beautiful way. But let's talk about your journey, Loay. Your journey of advocating for Jewish-Muslim dialogue has deepened over time. Can you share with us a pivotal moment that strengthened your commitment to building bridges between Arabs and Jews?
Many pivotal moments. I'll just say one. I remember in 2020 when Expo Dubai took place. How many of you have been to the UAE, by the way? Show of hand. Oh, not so many. So we need to work on that.
My wife wants to go.
We need to work on that and bring more people. So
how many kosher restaurants? Like five hotels?
Abu Dhabi, like.
Or Dubai, it's a lot.
Abu Dhabi 2, Dubai more. 5 or 6.
Impressive. More than Palm Beach Gardens, man. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't know that. So I do remember in 2020 when Expo Dubai took place, it was the first interaction between so many people in the Gulf and Israel through the pavilion that was there in the Expo. And I remember having friends from Saudi, Egypt, and other parts of the Arab world come to me and they say, Loay, take us to the pavilion of your friends. When they say your friends, they mean Israel. Take us to the pavilion of your friends. And when they went to the Israeli pavilion, which was so Israeli but not Jewish, it was always high tech, but no sense of Judaism. This is what I didn't like about the.
Wow, that's so interesting.
This is what I didn't like about the. Yeah, it's all about high tech. Listen, I really love the idea that Israel is the speedy boat of high tech technology, cybersecurity, AI. This is all great, but also you have the, how to say this, the pride of being biblical in the sense that you have to be proud of your Jewish identity.
Oh my gosh, this is beautiful.
And the most ironic thing when I hear people say, I'm an atheist Israeli. What? It doesn't make sense, man. I'm an atheist.
You are a miracle. If you still exist and you're still an atheist, how does that make sense?
Wow, it doesn't make
paradox.
sense. It doesn't make sense. But the bottom line is when some of my friends come to the Israeli pavilion and learn more about Israel, and then you see that so many of their convictions are being shattered because of what they were raised with, this is phenomenal. Because they come to me and say, well, Israelis, are nice, nice people. We can hang out, we can talk, we can, of course, what do you think? You know what they say? This is not what we were taught at school. And I do believe that. Because we were also taught at school so many bad things about Jews and Israelis. But that's one of the pivotal moments that I saw so many of my friends were having their views changed because they met Jews for the first time. Many people who hate Jews haven't met Jews.
Wow.
It's very important to say this. Many people who hate Jews haven't met Jews. You ask a person who is an anti-Semite or someone who hates Israel so much, ever been to Israel? No. Do you have a Jewish friend? No. So where do you get your information from? From the adversaries of the Jews or from the anti-Semites who think that they are so educated about Jews and Israel and convey all the lies about the apartheid, about everything else that you hear on the media. But the people themselves, they haven't really met a Jew in their life. And when they do, so many of their beliefs shatter. And this is a positive shattering. So this is one of the positive things that happen in Expo.
It's the courage to face the other side and to humanize them.
Exactly.
To be able to see the people behind the faces, behind the caricature, behind the stereotype, and to be able to see the human being behind. So that's amazing. So the way I heard about you is that my wife shares with me all sorts of interesting videos on Instagram, and I don't know, I don't have Instagram, but she shares these videos, and every once in a while she shares you talking in Hebrew with the most eloquent messages of, seichel. It's another Hebrew word. You know what seichel is, right? Seichel is just logical, wisdom, makes sense, just rational, a voice of reason in a world that seems to have gone mad. What gives you the courage? What gave you the courage to become Loay Al-Shareef?
A long journey of searching for the truth. So, the Loay that you see right now in front of you is not the same Loay who was 17 years of age. I was raised a very religious Muslim. I was raised with so many ideas about Jews and Israel when I was young.
In Saudi Arabia?
In Saudi Arabia. Very negative ideas. Now, Baruch Hashem, or thank God.
Inshallah.
Baruch Hashem is thank God, yeah. So, education in Saudi Arabia has improved dramatically. This is so good. But I'm talking about like 30 years ago or so. It was really tough when it comes to teaching people about the Jews. So when you grow up with different ideas, and then my first encounter with the Jewish people was in 2010 in Paris, France. That was my first encounter with, and this encounter led to lots of curiosity, being fed with answers. So I am the person that you see right now, an advocate for peace with Israel. an advocate for reconciliation between Muslims and Jews, or Arabs and Israelis, because it was a long journey. It was not just, I was not born like this. It was a long journey of having lots of misinformation, being debunked, being refuted with knowledge, facts, and the truth. And when you do it with great knowledge, you become invincible, and you become courageous, and you're not afraid of any fight backs. So it's because of the long journey, I would say. The long journey gave you this kind of strength to stand against the waves of hate and the waves of darkness.
And how does your family feel about this? Parents, siblings, friends?
I do remember when I came back from Paris in 2001, and I told my mom, may God bless her, about my great experience in Paris with the Jewish family, and that I'm deciding to open my mind and learn more about Judaism and learn more about Hebrew and learn. My mom, God bless her, told me, you are under a sudden fascination that will fade away in 2 months. 15 years and counting.
Wow.
15 years and counting. So my mom so much supports of what I do. She gives me likes everywhere. But she's still, how to say this, she is still has this kind of surrounded by lots of media that talks negatively about Israel, but she understands that with knowledge I reached the place that I am right now. So she's very supportive. My dad passed away, may his memory be a blessing.
Sorry to hear that.
But my mom, when she tells me, what does Judaism or what does the Torah say about your mom, I tell her, it says a very good thing. It says, Kabed et avicha ve'et immecha. So it's honoring your mother and father. So she said, okay, this is good then. Keep learning, that's fine.
I'll go for it.
Keep learning, that's fine. No, she understood that it really made me, I personally believe that there is a blessing for those who bless the Jews. I know it's so unheard of to hear this from an Arab, but I always believe in that. And there's a story in the Torah when Balaam wanted to curse Moses and the Israelites, and God told him, do not curse the people, for they are blessed, with all their mistakes and all their wrongdoings, but there is something so special about the Jews. And when Balaam wanted to curse them, he said a very great phrase that is pinned in the Abrahamic family house in Abu Dhabi. You know what that phrase is? How
goodly are your tents, O Jacob.
Your dwelling place is O Israel. Yeah. So you have it there in the Abrahamic family house. And some of my friends say, what is it written in Hebrew? When I tell them this, you have to explain to them the background story of this phrase, because it's phenomenal. So something really got so, so personal when I got to learn more about Judaism and learn more about Israel, especially from someone who was raised with lots of views that are negative to what he's learning right now. So you see, great doors of blessings open up. And my family very supportive. Some of my friends, yes, they have some, like backlash. But I do remember that a friend of mine, for a very long time, he was like, after October 7, he said, listen, I have to unfollow you. It's not personal, I have to unfollow you. Everyone is telling me, you're following this Zionist, this Zionist, this Zionist, you have to unfollow. He said, I'm sorry, I have to unfollow you. But guess what? 2 weeks ago, he sent me a message. He said, Loay, can I read this message, because it's very important.
Sure.
I just want to tell you that there is hope. There is
sounds great.
tikva.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is tikva, So this friend of mine, he sent me a message 2 weeks ago. And he said, hello Loay, this is the person. I hope you don't hate my, I hope you don't hate me. Anyways, bro, let me know if you got a minute to talk. Other than that, I just want you to know that I love what you do. Please keep going. And he was like,
whoa, what happened here?
So he watched one of the interviews after October 7, and he kept on watching lots of my videos. And then he sent me another message. I just want to tell you that I love you. Please don't stop what you're doing. And soon I'm joining, hopefully, to add some context to this crazy mad world.
Oh my God.
So,
Wow.
I told my friends, whoever wants to, stop communicating with me again, I'll keep the doors open. Because I know you'll come back. And you know what? I've been in your shoes. I know exactly what you're hearing. I know exactly all the misinformation that you're going through. But eventually, you'll come around. And some of them did.
That's amazing. So this is a beautiful story of you having courage to stand your ground and to stand up for what you believe in with the courage of your convictions, and to see somebody who accused you of being a Zionist Muslim, right?
A proud Muslim Zionist, I would say.
A proud Muslim Zionist.
It's so uncommon, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a paradox, man.
That's
a proud Muslim Zionist, and now he's coming around. He actually unfollowed you, and he's coming around. What would you recommend? I mean, what do you do when you're faced with propaganda online? What would you tell? How would you respond to counter anti-Semitic narratives or misinformation about Jews in Arab media?
That is a very important question. So, I'll be very honest with you. I'll be very blunt. The Arab media, when it comes to Israel and the Jews, very anti-Semitic. But that comes from a place. So, what I always say that there is some sort of a religious hate against the Jewish people. Not only with the Muslims, by the way, also with Christians, but that was reformed. Many Christians hated Jews because they thought that Jews are responsible for killing Jesus, and this is why anti-Semitism really flourished in so many Christian communities that were having the wrong idea. I always say it's so funny when you say, well, I hate the Jews because they killed Jesus, then forgetting that Jesus was himself a Jew. So it's like, hello.
Technical detail there.
Hello, yeah, it's a very important detail to mention. So in the Arab media, there's lots of hate. So how do you tackle this? This is a very important thing. Of course, we are not the majority, the Arab peace activists. We are not the majority in the Arab world. We are the minority. You convey the message. So you tell people who just want to spread hate, let's stop. When people ask me, why do you defend Israel? I have my reasons to defend Israel or to defend the relations with the Jewish people. Bless you. And I always say, it's not for me defending Israel as a government here and there. It's defending the legitimacy of Israel itself. And it's so important to understand, by the way, that you have 1.8 billion Muslims in this world. 90% of them are named after Jewish prophets, kings, and judges.
Ibrahim? Dawood?
It's so iconic.
Yusuf?
And these names don't have meaning in Arabic, but they have meanings in Hebrew. You know the meaning of Yusuf, of course you know.
Joseph.
God will increase. Many other names that have these profound names. I use this to connect the dots and build the bridges between my fellow Muslims and Jews when it comes to fighting the misinformation. But of course, you also have political reasons, like the Arab-Israeli conflict or the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and many people use this as a reason to spout more hate against the Jews. So we are the growing minority that fight this with reason and fight this with facts and the truth. It is a very difficult battle, but it's paying off. It's paying off. You have lots of new voices emerging, and inshallah, hopefully one day, we'll become the majority, not the minority.
Amen.
Inshallah.
You know, there's a lot of excitement in the prospects of a deal being forged between Israel and Saudi Arabia through the Abrahamic Accords, hopefully, God willing. But how has Saudi Arabia's changing relationship with Israel affected public discourse about Jewish-Muslim dialogue? Saudi Arabia being such a massive Sunni state, right?
So, have you heard of the Muslim World League? A Muslim World League is one of the biggest Muslim organizations in the world. And it's headed by a Saudi religious scholar. His name is Muhammad Al-Ais, Dr. Muhammad Al-Ais. I know him personally. He shocked the world when he went to Auschwitz in 2020, to the concentration camps. And he prayed there, and he called for restoring the friendship between Muslims and Jews, or reconciliation Muslim-Jewish relations. That was under the direct command of the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And it's very positive what he did. So I believe eventually Saudi Arabia and many other countries will have peace with Israel, based of course on different conditions, but eventually they will come around. And this will change the Middle East for good. But I'll be very blunt with you. We need a strong America to make this happen.
Huh.
And we now have a strong America with a president who speaks the language of the Middle East.
Wow. I think that in the Middle East, concessions are viewed as weakness, and leadership is respected when it's through strength.
Yes.
But tell us about what life is like on the ground in Saudi. What do ordinary Saudis feel about Israel? Do they visit Israel? And vice versa, do Israelis go to Saudi? I don't think so.
They go with their second passport.
They go with an Israeli passport, right?
Not yet. Not yet, but many Israelis go to Saudi in so many conferences. I've met with them, but they are American Israelis or French Israelis, but it will happen one day. So what does the ordinary Saudi think? Saudis are very kind-hearted people, but I just don't want you not to misjudge them. What would you expect from a Saudi who's being fueled day and night with lots of misinformation about Israel, about Jews, or about even Judaism? What would you expect the ordinary Saudi to think of Israel or the Jews? Negative.
Of course, propaganda.
But I would say even this negativity dropped from 80% to 40% in the past 10 years. Plus, I've been to 3 book fairs in the Arab world in the past 6 months. 3 book fairs in different parts of the Middle East. And I was very curious to know what are the books that talk about Jews or Judaism or Israel. I'm really sorry to say this, but the Protocols of the Elders of Zion is still popular.
Oh my gosh, Protocols of the Elders of Zion, a Nazi propaganda piece.
It's a forgery that started in Russia. Many people take it for granted that it is a factual book, which is not.
An attempt for the Jewish people to take over every industry in the world, effectively.
When it says the Jews control the media, in the Protocol of Zion, say the Jews are doing bad. You know, they're not applying the protocol so good. It seems like someone else is doing the protocols. So, unfortunately, this book is still popular. And there are other influential Arab philosophers.
Is it Mein Kampf over there too?
No. But the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, a great encyclopedia about Jews, Judaism, by an Arab professor. His name is Abdul Wahab al-Masiri. He's a prominent Arab influencer and also a philosopher. But his encyclopedia is filled with propaganda against Jews and against Israel and against the Jewish people in general. So what would you expect? Negativity. But, as I told you, they were dropped, and they will, inshallah, be dropped even more and more when Abraham Accords expand. So when I emphasize on the importance of having a strong American leadership that would broker the Abraham Accords and expand it, this will change everything. Because you know, how does this hate go away? When you have more people-to-people connection, when you have more exchange programs, when you have Saudis and Israelis meet and greet and learn more about each other from their experiences on the ground, not from the media. So this is how it is on the ground. I'm just drawing a very realistic picture. I don't want to tell you, no, everything is fine, or no, it's all bad. It's in between, but it's moving forward to a greater place.
You know, I'm so grateful, Loay, for your message of hope amidst a very realistic approach to what's going on in the ground. You're not painting it, you're not putting lipstick on the pig, God forbid. You're being honest about the propaganda and about the systemic hatred and anti-Semitism. But it's such a breath of fresh air to learn about the emerging trends and how people just want to move past the hate, and how slowly but surely, we hope, they will be able to reach a point of normalizing relations.
And Rabbi, I want to say one thing. I want to thank the Jewish communities around the world. including the Chabad in Palm Beach, for giving the floor to so many Arab peace activists like myself to speak up. Because when you help us amplify the voice of reason and of peace, you are directly or indirectly encourage other voices to speak up. And I'm really grateful, and so many Arab peace activists are grateful to you and to so many other Jewish communities in the United States, in Europe, in Canada, for giving us the floor. Because unfortunately in the Arab world, not many people are willing to listen to a different point of view. You know, I had an interview like a month ago in Arabic, in an Arab channel about Zionism. And it seems like it was a very controversial topic, and I said, it shouldn't be. The word Zionism is so toxic in the Arab world. But you know what Zionism is? I always say, Zionism can be defined in one single line. The right of the Jewish people of self-determination in their ancestral homeland. Ancestral what? Ancestral homeland.
By divine decree.
Of course, but it's an ancestral homeland. But this is the connection. So when they ask me, but how do you say this? Give us some proofs, other than the Bible, because we don't believe in. I said, okay, you don't believe in the Bible. That's fine. We have archaeological evidence that shows the connection of Jews to this land. Not only archaeological evidence. Where does the word Jew come from? The word Jew itself is a proof of this connection.
It's a Hebrew word.
It's a Hebrew word.
Which comes from the name Yehuda, Judah.
You know the complete answer would be? The ideal answer? When Joshua ben Nun, a Jewish character or an Israelite character, partitioned the land of Canaan, he made the 12 tribes of Israel, and he gave a portion of the land to the fourth son of Jacob, Yehuda or Judah, and they were never called Jews before 586. They were called Israelis or Israelites. You know Jonah, he said, Every Anochi, I'm only a Hebrew.
A Hebrew.
Jonah. I'm only a Hebrew. But in 586, when the Babylonians inquired about the origin of those who were brought by Nebuchadnezzar, and they said, where you guys are coming from? We come from Judah. We are the Jews. And they were called the Jews. And I always say that if your grandfathers were brought from the portion of the land that was called Binyamin, you would now be called the Binyaminites. Or the Ephraimites. It was from the north. So the word Jew itself says that my connection to the land is undisputed. You cannot take it away. And that interview made a whirlwind in the Arab world. No one wants to listen. But I understand, that's fine. Because the 17-year-old Loay would have the same, why are you saying you're a Zionist? It's a compliment, by the way, to say a Zionist. But I'm just saying that lots of backlash, and not many people are willing to listen. But when you do it more and more and more and more, you will penetrate their way of thinking, and eventually they will listen. Eventually they will listen.
I gotta tell you, I gotta thank you for thanking us, when I think the thank you goes to you for having the courage of being who you are. I mean, do you get any death threats?
Death threats? Not yet. Not yet. But lots of hate, of course. I don't badmouth. I don't really, and many of the peace activists really, we are the good guys for a reason. You know why? Because we believe in the message of reconciliation. We want Israelis and Arabs to come together. The only people that I speak highly against are Hamas and the radicals, who cannot be reasoned with. You cannot reason with someone who kidnaps an 8-year-old child or an infant. People who kidnapped the Bibas family or murdered an Israeli woman with her, you cannot reason with them. You cannot reason with terrorists. But I know it's very hard to say this, but I believe in reasoning with lots of people who are, in my opinion, considered victims, especially in Gaza. I know people say there are no innocents in Gaza, all of them are terrorists, all of them are that, and I say, trust me, they are not. Many people are brainwashed, and if they are given the opportunity to live a different life and to have a different education, they would be better people and better versions of themselves. But what do we expect a normal Gazan who's been taught with UNRWA curricula, great hate against Jews, not Israelis, Jews, what would you expect him to be? To be, oh, you know what? I'm not gonna listen to that, but I'm gonna.
It's brainwashing from the earliest age.
Of course. And some Israeli friends, they say, no, all of them are. I said, no, you cannot say this. You cannot say this. Yeah, you can say, great portion of them, yes, I understand, but you cannot just generalize. And if we really want to bring light to this world, we have to not speak evil in generalizing this to different populations.
So how would you be able to influence the conversation with radicals like Hamas and Hezbollah? What can be done in your very courageous field of work to be able to control the conversation with regards to such radicals? Is there any hope in that department?
So with radicals like Hamas, it's pointless. Those who believe in killing Jews for being Jews or killing Israelis for being Israelis, it's pointless. But to so many religious Muslims or to so many Muslims in the Middle East, I believe the way to control it is through religion. I know many people would disagree, do not bring religion to the table. In my opinion, religion can unite people rather than divide. Religion is so important. And we are religious people by nature, the Middle Easterns. So by bringing the commonalities that we have, which in language, in religious rituals, in values that we both believe in, not only one God, of course one God, but the value of family, having a family, the value of fixing the world and making it a better place.
Even our languages are very similar, Arabic and Hebrew.
Very similar. The Sephardic Hebrew.
Salam alaikum, shalom aleichem.
Shalom aleichem, yeah, but the Sephardic Hebrew, not the Ashkenazi Hebrew.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. But you know, with talking about the similarities and what we have in common, open the minds and hearts of so many Muslims in learning more about Israel and Jews. And as someone who was changed through religion in Paris, in France, in 2010, when the Jewish family, with lots of conversation I had with them, connected the dots that were missing in my education system, I believe you can cascade this to so many Muslims in the Middle East. This is how you tackle the conversation. But speaking to people like Hezbollah or Hamas or those who deeply believe in eradicating Jews, it's pointless. But to their victims, it's not pointless. Because they are the reasons that so many people are brainwashed. To those who committed murder with their hands, or not to those who kidnap women and children and infants and babies. These people cannot be reasoned with.
Wow, these are tough days. Tough days for us, but such a message of hope and
But if it was easy, everyone else would do it. Yeah. It's tough, and it's you know, every day I post something on Twitter or on Instagram. I say, God knows that my intention is to do tikkun olam, to fix the world. I personally believe that God gave you a world that is full of trouble, and He told us, fix it so that when you die, in my humble belief, that when you die and you are resurrected, I believe in the resurrection, and then we will meet God again. He would.
We also believe in resurrection, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not all the Jewish schools, what I know. I know Rambam talked about it, yes.
That's the 13th fundamental principle of
according to Rambam.
Exactly.
Yeah, but Jewish schools before the 2,000 years ago, I think not all of them believed in the resurrection. But it's good. That's what I believe in.
Okay.
So when we are resurrected, we will be judged by God. And He will judge us for fixing the world. And speaking of this point, I want to say something about judging, you know.
Yeah.
One of the greatest names in Hebrew is Daniel. You know why? Daniel, God judges. And one of the profound teachings I learned from Judaism is that only God judges people.
Only God.
Only God. When I defended the victims of October 7, and when I stood strenuously against Hamas on October 7, day one, I saw lots of conversations about, but you know what those people did on October 7? They celebrated the supernova on Chabad, and they did this or that. I said, speak no evil. You should never judge them. You should never judge a human being for what they did, because you don't know the background or anything, and you should only God judge, not us. It's a very fundamental Jewish teaching to leave the judgment to God, and to be a good person with everyone without judgments, and leave it to God alone. And that's where the name Daniel comes in.
That's a beautiful interpretation of the name Daniel. I never thought of that. Thank you for sharing that with me. Before we open the questions to the floor, if anybody has questions to ask, I just want to ask you one more question about a little lighter of a topic, and that is, have you ever celebrated a Jewish holiday? And what was that like?
Have I celebrated a Jewish holiday? Habibi, I celebrate all Jewish holidays.
Nice, tell us about this.
All Jewish holidays. And my favorite is Hanukkah. For two reasons. Sufganiyot.
That's the donut.
That's one. So I believe one of the...
You had a good figure then, though.
So I believe one of the Jewish, one of the conspiracies, or one of the protocols of the elders of Zion that is true, is that Jews change the views of their opponents by feeding them. The Jewish mother Rachel, she kept feeding me with lots of good food, and okay, I'm wanting to listen. So the food is so good. So, and the second reason of Hanukkah, it's the most Zionist holiday. And it's so funny when I saw many Jews who say that they stand against Zionism celebrate Hanukkah. But what is Hanukkah about? Hanukkah is the dedication of the temple, because a Jewish family revolted against the Seleucids because they wanted to provoke the Jews by getting a statue of Zeus or Jupiter inside the Beit HaMikdash in Jerusalem. And when this Jewish family revolted against this Seleucid Greek Levant family, the successor, of course, of Alexander the Great, God made it miraculous with an oil that is sufficient for one day, lasted for 8 days and 8 nights. So Hanukkah is my favorite. And inshallah, I'm planning to celebrate this Hanukkah this year, inshallah, in Israel.
That's awesome, amazing. Thank you very much. So friends, we'd like to ask if anybody has a question from Roy, right? Ron, sorry, Ron came all the way from Fort Lauderdale here. Ron, take it away, what's your question?
Thank you for coming all the way.
First of all, I want to thank you. I came here because I respect what you do.
Thank you so much.
You are the only one making believe in peace between Arabs and Jews. I'm coming from Israel. I'm Israeli.
I see that from the accent, yeah.
Yemen.
Oh, he's a Yemenite.
I'm Indonesian.
MashaAllah.
I will tell you. I am not supportive of killing kids at all, right? But as Israeli with a lot of marks, deep marks, when I was soldier in 2014, we had Sukaitan. And we always avoided to have a lot of damage about women's and kids, right? We don't want to kill women, we don't want to kill kids. We don't want to kill anybody that is not terrorist, right? And the kids from 2014, eventually, those are the kids, not everyone, but let's say like this, the troops that invented my country, rape, burned life, and did those atrocities were the kids of 2014. And it puts me in a place of depression when I think about it. Because those kids, yes, brainwashed. Eat whatever you put inside, because it's like an empty jar. Whatever you put inside, that's what will be. And unfortunately, it feels like behind repair.
No, it's not. First of all, I understand.
Can you repeat basically what you said?
The question Ron is asking is actually a soldier from the IDF in 2014 in Operation Sukeitan. And it broke his heart to think that the incursion of Israeli soldiers into Gaza was actually radicalizing the Arab youth that were children in Gaza at that time. Think about it, 2014. In 2023, they were full-grown adults, right? And he's wondering if there's any hope for actual peace.
Of course there is. First of all, I understand your pain so well, and I know exactly where you're coming from. But I want to be blunt in putting responsibilities. So, 2014 to 2023, many things didn't change. Things didn't change in Gaza. The education system did not change. UNRWA was still teaching hate to the Palestinian kids. But also, some Israeli governments allowed the situation to continue as is without making any dramatic or drastic change. Many governments allowed the money that comes from somewhere we all know to Gaza, funneling all and supporting all what is happening in order to topple their adversaries in the West Bank or in Yehuda and Shimon. I believe it was a mistake by so many Israeli governments that were from 2014 to 2023. And also, Hamas, you know what their biggest miscalculation was? That they killed on October 7 the most pacifist Israelis. The Israelis who would come to me, an Arab and Muslim, and say, "You are a Zionist, we believe in the two-state solution." They were killed by Hamas. Those who really believed in peace with Israel, Hamas killed their hope. But as much as I blame the education system and everything, I sometimes wonder why the Israeli government did not act so effectively. Many things could have happened. Stop the money funneling, stop so many things that could happen, put some conditions on, because Israel controls everything in Gaza. The fact that they allow things to grow, you know, when you...
Not in Gaza, around Gaza.
Or around Gaza, but when you...
We didn't have the legitimate by the world to do so, and we're always condemned by the UN, which is the most twisted entity in the world.
Yes. But I always say this, again, a person who's living in Gaza with lots of misinformation and an education that is corrupt by UNRWA, and I'm so happy that inshallah it will be defunded, what would you expect him to be? I mean, like...
It's time to change the conversation.
It is time to change. It is time to
change.
But this time, unfortunately, unfortunately, of course, because so many people were killed, this time it will be different. First time I was in Israel, when I traveled to Israel for the first time this November, by the way.
That was your first time in Israel?
I know, I met many people in the Misrad HaChutz, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They said, "Loay, okay, we know this is your 300 times going to Israel, but we want to tell you a few things to watch in the airport." I said, "Who told you this is 300 times? This is my first time."
Wow.
Ma ta omer? You know what I mean? I said,
You know it's Hebrew outside of Israel.
yeah, I know. But for the first, when I first went to Israel, on the plane, my seatmates, all of them were Indians. So many Indians on the flight going from Abu Dhabi to Tel Aviv. I was curious. I mean, like, "Hi, how are you? How's everything? Well, what are you doing in Israel?" I said, I am now, this is my 3rd month working in Israel. I said, "Working where?" He said, "We are now hired to work in Out Gaza to replace the Palestinian workers."
Oh, in the surrounding communities of Gaza?
In the surrounding community of Gaza. I said, "Wow." He said, "Yeah, because Israelis are not going to hire
They're not hiring the Gazans
They're
anymore.
not hiring the Gazans anymore." He said, "It's sad, but it's..."
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Of course.
What would you blame Israel? Of course not. So when this war ends, eventually, the price that the Gazans would pay is enormous because of their leadership. And I always say this to those who say, "What do you think of Trump's plan? What do you think of this? What do you think of that?" I said,
Yeah, what do you think of that?
I think the Palestinians can demolish President Trump's plan. You know how? By having a leadership that cares about its citizens. By having a leadership, imagine having a leadership, a Palestinian leadership that is courageous and say, "We are going to embrace our Israeli neighbors. We are not going to teach hate. We are going to live side by side with Israel. We are not going to teach our kids hate against the Jews. We are going to teach our kids that Jews and Arabs, Israelis and Muslims will build this region together, and we are not going to make more wars with Israel." President Trump's plan will fail, and then you will have hope for real peace. But
Wouldn't that be lovely?
But where is this Palestinian leadership?
Nowhere.
Nowhere.
Tragic. Mark Patel.
Hi, thank you for coming here. I really appreciate your background. I wanted to ask you, do you think with the threat of like Iran, do you think Israel can work together with Saudi Arabia? Because both sides don't want to see a strong Iran.
Question is, what would a peace deal with Saudi Arabia and Israel do to influence the Iranian threat?
I do believe that the Iranian threat can be cornered by having more peace agreements in the region. This is a peaceful way that I believe in. Some people believe that Iran should never have nuclear capacity, and I do agree with that. Because even if Israel has a nuclear capacity, allegedly, yeah, of course, there are some people who have control over the power, but there are some people who use this to threat their neighbors, and Iran, unfortunately, through Iran itself and their proxies, have caused lots of damage. Cornering Iran is possible by having more peace, because when you have more peace agreements, when you have more peace and stable Middle East, you corner Iran and its proxies, and they will find themselves isolated.
Amen, amen. Dean, you had a question? Oh, I thought you had a question, sorry. Rob.
Our very powerful president, who, I'm not sure if you know, also happens to be a stable genius, has a plan to remove all the Gazans while he takes ownership of Gaza and rebuilds. What do you think the chances are that Saudi Arabia or any country in the Middle East will take in any significant number of Palestinians, Gazans, either on a temporary basis or a permanent basis, number one.
Nobody wants that.
And number two, after the war, many of the Jews of Eastern Europe lost their homes and were unable to return. And Israel took in all of those, small tiny country, took in all of the Jews. Why have the Arab countries in the region not invited those people who live in squalor in Gaza, in the West Bank, in other areas, Syria, and have great wealth? Why haven't they invited them in the way Israel invited in displaced persons?
Good question, sir. Have you heard of Black September?
Yes.
So that's your answer.
Black September is the group that was responsible for the Munich massacres in 1970.
Black September, in a nutshell, is a group of Palestinians who were refugees in Lebanon. And when Lebanon opened the door and said, let's take the Palestinians in, they were refugees, and in their camps they smuggled weapons, and they wanted to do a coup d'etat against the king of Jordan. And they believed that, King Hussein. And they assassinated the prime minister of Jordan, Wasf al-Tell. And they assassinated an Egyptian prominent figure in the government. And they assassinated lots of parliament members. And they assassinated. So there is a history that tells that so many troublemakers will emerge from this suggested step. So it's a threat to the national security, to so many people in the region, to absorb radicalized people without background checks and stuff. So when I said Black September is your answer, because many people tend to forget about Black September. And by the way, there was an Emirati ambassador who was assassinated in Abu Dhabi by a group related to Black September, Abu Nilal. And they assassinated and they said, oh, we made a mistake. We didn't want to assassinate the ambassador. We wanted to assassinate the Syrian one. Okay, so what kind of difference you're making? And they also hijacked planes. So I want you to understand, it's not a racist point of view. It's about a national security when it comes to protecting your national security. And it's very worrying.
The same thing with the Second World War, when Anwar Sadat came in and decided to make peace, only if we give him back everything in the quotation. Well, he wanted all Sinai, but not the Gaza. He didn't want the Gaza.
Interesting.
Right? And then he signed peace with Israel, and what happened to him?
They killed him.
They killed him.
Anwar Sadat is one of my favorite peacemakers. He was honest, in my opinion, in wanting to have a people-to-people peace with Israel. And he paid his life for it. And it's so staggering to know that there's a roundabout in Israel, I think it's in Eilat, near Eilat or Beersheba. It's named after Anwar Sadat. Peacemakers paid the price, but it's a price worthy of being paid for. What's going to happen there in Gaza? I don't know. I really sincerely don't know. And I don't wish to displace them. But I always say to the Palestinians who say, displacement, I said, okay, come up with a leadership that is strong and that is willing to make genuine peace with their neighbors, and then you can stop President Trump's plan. President Trump is making the most, like, raising expectations to reaching a compromise. We understand this in politics. But where is the leadership, the Palestinian leadership that is willing to say, we're gonna suspend the pay to slay? No, it's not they're afraid. It's not, it's honestly...
The Palestinian leadership refuses to dismantle the pay-to-slay policy, which is to pay the families of terrorists a full-time salary.
That's very worrying. That's very... And this is what doesn't give me hope when I say that there is no Palestinian leadership. And I'm so sure there has to be one, but it's not yet there.
You have to be part of it.
I'm not Palestinian, so...
Well,
But I would love to. If I was given the power, that would be something.
Bob Brooks, go ahead.
Use the word hope. And I often get people say there's no hope. It's been like this for 3,000 years. But what you two are doing tonight gives hope. If there was we didn't hear any words. You just looked at the body language. You two like each other.
Yeah, he could be a good friend, my first Saudi friend. My man. And we got this on camera. This is going global. This message is going around the world.
You're laughing. And you respect each other. It shows. I tell you, what you've done tonight, I'm going to share that. To see an Arab and a Jew talking like you guys are talking. Fabulous.
We're cousins, you know.
And this is why I insisted on coming with my Arabic traditional clothes in conveying this strong message, in normalizing. You know, it's so funny when people call me in the Arab world. So the Arabic word is mutabbi'. Mutabbi' is a normalizer. So I say, yeah. What is the accusation? How dare you call for a normalized Arab-Israeli or Muslim-Jewish relations? That's an accusation, of course. In their minds, that's an accusation. But I'm just telling you, with time, we will be the norm, inshallah, and we will be the majority.
Amen, amen. Well, last question, Sandy Vigler.
First of all, thank you for being here. And I've been to the UAE and all that. Are you familiar with a group in Israel, in the Arab world, a Parent Cycle Family Forum?
No.
This is a group that's been in existence for about 18 years. And these are bereaved parents of Palestinians, that's the word, and Israelis, who are teaching in the schools in Israel and other places close by, focusing on one word, reconciliation. There's a lot of what you're talking about today sounds like the same subject of reconciliation as opposed to what's going on in the world. And
We need more
and
reconciliations.
this group has been around for a long time. I have pieces in my home that I bought because of helping to do things for them.
Support them.
I'll show you the next time you're in the house.
Thank you, Sandy. I'd like to ask you, Loay, before we close, if you have a closing message. It's been such a pleasure having you here in our home, listening to your message and you sharing your heart and your mind with us. But what is your message, your closing message to us and to the world?
To you and to the Jewish communities around the world, you have friends in the Arab world. And together we stand, we thrive, we support each other, and we will reconcile the tent of Abraham, and we will make him proud, inshallah.
Amen, amen, amen. I want to say that we as Jews, we know.
And don't forget to send my regards to our forefather Abraham.
Well, I'm going to have brought on Wednesday, but I want to just close by saying that as Jews we believe that very, very soon we'll experience the time of Mashiach, of redemption, when all men and women and children will live together in peace, without hatred, without war, without prejudice, with just love and mutual respect. And I feel that what we've done here tonight is a giant step forward towards that era for which so many of us have been waiting for so many thousands of years. And I'd like to conclude with, please join me. Oseh shalom bimramav, oh yaseh shalom aleinu. You know the words? Ve'alakam Yisrael, ve'yemro, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'yemro, amen.
Sing me a song, please.
Thank you, Loay.
Thank you
Please
so
give
much.
Loay a round of applause. Thank you very, very, very much. What a pleasure. Loay Al-Shareef, courageous voice of a pro-Israel Muslim Zionist. What advice would you give to your younger self?
To my younger self. So, I love flying jets on the simulator. And when you are a pilot flying a jet and there is a smoke in the cockpit, you repeat a word 3 times. Eject, eject, eject. When you eject, when you leave the cockpit and you eject, you're not weak, but you want to live. I would give an advice to myself, to my younger self, and to the young generations. When you have hate that is about to consume you, reject, reject, reject.
Reject.
Reject hate by all means.
Beautiful. Thank you. If you could have Shabbat dinner with any 2 figures in history, who would you invite?
Judah the Maccabi, one of my favorite Jewish heroes of all time, and Joshua ben Nun.
Judah the Maccabee and Joshua the son of Nun. Why those 2?
Because Joshua, when he was afraid to go to the land, God told him, I will be with you like I was with Moses. Be strong and courageous, for that I am the Lord your God. And the thing is that he was so courageous in doing what he was supposed to do. And Judah was also courageous because he stood against some Jews.
Judah the Maccabee?
Yeah, he stood against the Greek Jews who said, why not? Let's have the Greek methodology or the Greek mythology going.
He was the minority.
Yeah, he was the minority. So because Judah the Maccabee, I see myself as Judah, a minority among many people, but he became the majority later on. Judah the Maccabee is one of the greatest Jewish heroes of all time.
Wow, what a great answer. Thank you. Last question. I'd like you to complete this sentence. I support Israel because.
I support Israel and I support peace with Israel because it is what will make my forefather Abraham, as a faithful child of his son Ishmael, proud.
Wow, Chazak, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll make a celebrity out of you, man.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.
Inshallah, thank you. Really, this is very, very special.
Thank you. Of course.
Very special. Thank you for coming.